Welcome to the Occupational Safety Leadership Podcast, episode number 78. In this episode, we're going to talk about support, and this is part of our journey in the ISO 45001 series. Um, Got to have support, and of course, everybody can say I support safety. I'm never going to say that we want to work in an unsafe place, and that's awesome and great. But also by support, we need to have the money, the time. Um, People have to give us a chance to do this stuff too, as opposed to we're going to give it lip service and nothing else. So let's just dive right into it. This is pretty short section also. So for anybody who's joining us late in the series, ISO 45001 is a occupational health and safety management system. It provides a framework for organizations to identify, control, and minimize risks related to health and safety in the workplace. It follows the Plan, Do, Check, Act, as do many of the ISO standards out there. A lot of us already know about ISO 9001, ISO 14001 on the environmental side. I pretty much run my whole life through a Plan, Do, Check, Act. I don't always break it down exactly that way then. Um, so let's talk about support. So support means that we have the resources, we have the training, the competency, we have the information to support the operation. So we maintain documents also. So it's not something that we just kind of keep a binder someplace and call it good then. But let's kind of sit down and talk about the different examples that we can find out there, of course. Obviously, with resources, they come in a lot of ways, shapes, and sizes. We need to have the money. We need to have the time to do the training and competency out there. Establish communication channels, So are we going to support this by a web browser? Are we going to support it by some other kind of software to help us out too? Are we sharing this information with other plants? Like, really, how are we doing this? So it does need some IT support out there also. So the documented info and of course the control of documented info. How do you have a documentation system in place that a person is using the most current rev of something and not a old document they print it off and they kind of keep it in their desk drawer and they pull it out every so often. So a lot of times on these documents you have to say printed copies are for reference only and may not be the most updated rev. We want people every time to go to the system, whether that be a software-based system, a old style binder, whatever we want to call it, and get the most updated documented info every single time so that we don't fall into bad habits where you have somebody who's been there for 5 or 10 years and has been referencing an old document and the old way of doing things. So I got a couple more examples of support out there. Emergency preparedness and response. So depending upon the level of the hazards, do we have adequate chemical suits available? Do we have adequate things that we can neutralize the acid? Do we have enough air packs? Do we have a team that has the training and competence also? Or is it that what we do is we just evacuate the plant because we've chosen not to do this? I'd say a management decision, and we just bring in a third party contractor. So there's going to be a lot of ways to tackle that one. We want to monitor and measure performance, and that's part of support too. Is we have people called accountants, and they're really good at counting things. So when we start to talk about hours and we start to talk about things, there are people who are gathering up a lot of this performance measures where we can really sit down and look at this stuff then. And then we need to look at internal audits. So we just can't say, hey, we put an awesome system in place and everybody's done, we high five and walk away. Somebody has to go back and do the internal audits. A lot of times it falls on the quality person. So is the quality person up to date? Does the quality person have the training and competence also to assist with this activity? So we have to look at all the support things. Do we need to bring in a consultant from the outside so we can sit down and train the management team and kind of get everybody going in the right direction? So that is it for episode 78, ISO 45001. We talked about the support function. This is a very short and sweet section, but like all things, you have to have the resources. And in an ideal world, everybody would be willing to help at all times, and it would be effortless, and it wouldn't cost any money. But we have to put these mechanisms in place as we're building this system. We just can't say, we'll start doing stuff, and every time we need money, we just go back and ask for money. You have to have an estimate up front. You hope your estimate is actually like 100% on the ball. You get started. Maybe you're over and maybe you're under, so you may have to adjust as time goes on. So, episode number 78 is complete. My name is Dr. David Ayers. Thank you for joining me today, and have a safe day.